The Wind Clan came out first.
Our legend goes back to God, the Creator. We call him the Breathmaker. So when he made the gardens and he planted the trees and the flowers and the seeds, and from there the earth started growing a lot of natural trees and herbs around here where we were. But the Seminole Indians were apparently on the bottom of the earth, or under the earth, and they wanted to come out. The snake couldn't get out. And so they planted potatoes, and the potato seed started growing, and when the potato finished growing, it comes out and breaks the earth. So when it broke the earth, and it was a little tiny hole, and they couldn't come out. So they're under the ground looking, and the first clan that wants to come out is the Panther clan, but he can't come out because he's too big. So the next clan would be the Bird clan, which I am. So we flew out first.
And so you can see that each clan has their own idea of who came out first. Wonder when the bear came out.
After the Panther.
Long ago, our people were part of the Mississippian cultures that lived in what is now Georgia and Alabama. We were made up of many independent settlements or towns called Talofa. Each town had its own name. In the middle of our towns, we had our ceremonial grounds. There, we held the green corn dance to celebrate the harvest and purify the town. After the Europeans arrived in our lands, they called our mini Talofa by a single name. We were now known as Creeks. In the 1700s, some Creeks moved into northern Florida. The native population in this area had been wiped out by warfare led by the British. Before long, we became known as Seminoles.
The Spanish officials in San Augustine were glad to have us in Florida because we helped separate them from the British. As Seminoles, we lived as we had when we were weather-normal. Our economy was based on agriculture. We grew corn, beans, squash, and potatoes. We raised horses, cattle, pigs, and chickens, and we hunted deer and bear. Food is still an important part of our lives. We serve our traditional drink of Ah-Tah-Thi-Ki, which is usually made from corn. We also like to eat dogfish, turtle, deer, fried bananas, and swamp cabbage. Trading was also an important part of our economy. We sold the Europeans buckskin, fur, beeswax, honey, and bear oil. In exchange, they give us cotton cloth, silk, linen, and wool, glass beads, silver coins, jewelry, guns, and horses. Life was good in our new home. Early Seminoles kept large herds of cattle, and today we're still cowboys. We are cowboys, we love this land. We work hard till the day is done. It's all of us together.
After the American Revolution, conflict came to Florida. The United States, then a new country, wanted our land. More Creeks moved to Florida and joined we Seminoles. In 1817, war was begun. In 1830, the federal government passed the Indian Removal Act. This act said that we were supposed to leave our land in Florida and move to the west. We didn't want to move, and in 1835, the Second Seminole War started. The swampy land made it difficult for the U.S. soldiers, and it turned out to be the longest and costliest Indian war in the history of the United States. Our leaders, Micanopy, Alligator, Wildcat, Jumper, and Osceola, fought bravely to remain in their homeland. Ah-Tah-Thi-Ki was a powerful medicine man. The U.S. soldiers called him Sam Jones. His resolute stand and spiritual power were key ingredients in our successful resistance. On Christmas Day in 1837, 1,000 U.S. soldiers attacked 400 Seminole warriors near Lake Okeechobee. It was the largest battle of the Seminole Wars. Many Seminoles were killed and over 4,000 were captured and forced to leave. But, led by Ah-Tah-Thi-Ki, some went deep into the Florida wilderness. We were never captured and we never signed a peace treaty. We remained hidden in the Everglades and in the vastness of the Big Cypress Swamp. Florida was still ours. Those of us that were left had won. We would stay in our chosen homeland.
Through the first years of the 1900s, we lived an isolated existence in the Everglades. For the most part, we were self-sufficient. We still had our traditional gardens. At times, friendly whites attempted to set up schools, churches, and hospitals, but they were not successful. We liked some of these people, but we were afraid of outsiders, and we held on to our old ways.
Safe haven. The whites were waging another war, this one against the land itself.
As the Everglades were drained, we were scattered all over South Florida. Reservations were created for us near our camps at Hollywood and in the Big Cypress. Slowly, during the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, we moved on to reservation lands. The Brighton Reservation was created in the 1930s. Early on, we found new ways of trading with the white tourists who came to Florida. Many people were willing to pay to see our villages and watch the men wrestle alligators.
dolls, and wood carvings.
Seminoles were placed on a termination list, which meant loss of government support in tribal lands. In 1957, we reorganized and formed the modern government we have today. We have our own constitution, which formed a corporation with elected officials.
My name is Chairman James E. Billy of the Seminole Tribe of Florida. I was elected in 1979. During those days, one of our biggest problems was that we did not have much money to operate our government with. We had many government grants, but no personal tribal income. The first day I was in office, they gave us a package, someone gave me a package with a contract saying B-I-N-G-O, bingo. And from that day, I signed a contract with Bingo. Our fortune developed from about $600,000 a year tribal income to $3 million. With that type of money, we could take care of our health, education, and welfare. We can build a museum such as Ah-Tah-Thi-Ki Museum. Ah-Tah-Thi-Ki means to know, to remember, so this is the way I selected the term Ah-Tah-Thi-Ki. The achievement of the tribe has been tremendous through this type of monies. And it was Bingo that helped us do it. Even though we have Billie Swamp Safaris, orange groves, oil explorations on our reservation, we have cattle. And Bingo has been one of the biggest moneymakers in our tribe. We are very proud of our culture. One of the proudest things that I can think of is that our language. We have managed to maintain our culture through our language.
The money we have made from gaming has helped us to become self-sufficient. We have our own businesses, police, and social services. And in Big Cypress, we have our own schools. Our children are educated not only in modern ways, but also learn our traditions and culture.
Shamehin to bihin to chichi shatata chakipon ipapa na yon shkoli yon sheya won shapok.
We are a people of continuity and of change. What we have accepted from the outside world, we have made our own, from the sewing machine to Indian gaming. We are proud to be one of the most modern and successful tribes, while we still maintain our culture and traditions. In the 21st century, we will continue to flourish. We are still the unconquered Seminoles.
Yalla. Come on, let's go.
Get the buggy? No? Okay.
I'll tell you when. Right about now.
Henry Coppinger Jr. invented alligator wrestling as a form of commercial entertainment for tourists in 1918 at Coppinger's Tropical Garden on the Miami River. Seminole employees at Musa Isle, a rival tourist village, quickly followed suit. Seminole alligator wrestlers continue to thrill audiences at local fairs and tribal events.
Over the years, people would pull up and watch us catch the alligator, and if they were impressed, they would throw us money. So what made alligator wrestling famous was that big Florida smile.
Venga más para acá, Cari.
Está bien, mamita.
No, sí le puedes tocar tú, mi amor.
No, si tiene veneno.
No, vas a tocarla. Ven, Cari.
Hey, boy. Hey. Hello. Lovely.